the way. Welcome in, everyone, to Even Strength. All three of us are here tonight. We are joined by Crystal Palace. She's here, everybody. We got Crystal, who's muted, and we have Sam with us as well. Welcome in, everybody.
We're all repping tonight.
I'm just going to use my jersey because I didn't have time.
Wait, I got to double team it.
Uh-oh. You got the Panthers hat on with the Panthers Panther. And you're like all over the place. Crystal, how in the world are you?
I'm good. I'm busy, but it's playoff hockey time, so we gotta make time for some hockey.
That's exactly right. We just had a little issue in Pittsburgh, but we'll regroup for the next one. So, look, you were at the game the other night. Obviously, you're in here. We're all going to be talking about hockey for the next hour and some change. Crystal's on a short time with us tonight, so we're going to let Crystal kind of kick off tonight. Tell us about the game. Tell us what it was like to be there for a triple overtime. Take it away.
Absolutely. First, we all know the end result, but triple overtime was a marathon. I'll say that. At the Garden, all the food and the drinks closed, so we're just like sitting there, kind of like, is this really happening right now? But it was a lot of fun. It was game one, of course. So we got our free shirts. We got our little rally towel. I love this saying, like the no quit in New York. And we got a little light up band that
nice.
I show you guys. So yeah, it was fun. It was an unfortunate outcome, of course, for the Rangers. But it was cool. It was so cool to be there. It was the longest NHL game at Madison Square Garden. And it was the first time the Rangers went into triple overtime at the Garden since 1971, which is pretty cool. Like, I feel like I was a part of history. And, I paid for my ticket. I got like 2 games for the price of 1.
No kidding.
So
I was so jealous. I can't even tell you.
Yeah, it was long and we got out of there at like 12:30 in the morning, but it was honestly worth it. And I'm glad that I got to go to that game for sure.
The funny thing is I'm live calling the game and I'm on your Instagram trying to get updates. And I was literally showing everybody, look, she's there. I'm like, you have to see this. I was like, wait till her vlog comes out. I'm like, you guys have no idea. Mm-hmm. So I heard there was an unruly fan section that happened.
So we were in section 209, which if you've ever been to the Garden, you kind of know, like, the 100 section is great. And I've sat there before, like, I've got tickets, whatever, super expensive. So that section's kind of like, can sometimes be like the corporate section. It's right. Like where, like, the celebrities sit. Like, if you want to, like, be rowdy and, like, be like a real, like, New York fan, the 200 level and up is like the place to be. So we were in section 209. And then the section over from us, there was a Pittsburgh fan in there who kind of like loved the boo. He walked in, everyone's like, boo, you know how it is. And he was wearing a jersey, of course, but he loved it. He was like egging everybody on. And then when they called back the goal at the end of the third period, that's when things kind of started getting out of hand. So I'm like sitting here and I'm looking over to my left and I see like fights starting and then on the ice they're trying to take back the goal. So I'm like, I don't know which way to look. It's all in my vlog, but it was crazy. I think people were just starting to get like, what is happening? And then I was tired then, but then we went into overtime. I started doing the YMCA. I got some more energy and finished the game. Yeah.
I'll tell you what, if you guys have not checked out her vlog, go watch it. It is, if you're a hockey fan,
Thank you.
look, triple overtime is something that doesn't happen all the time. Go check it out. She had great seats. It was an amazing vlog. She always puts out amazing work. So, you know, whether it's hockey games or whatever else, wherever she's traveling, because she travels all over the place, go check out her stuff. So, you know, other than that, we got Sammy, who's your team's been all over the place.
Oh man, it's been tough to watch at times. We're not going to talk about game 2, but game 1 and game 3 were fantastic.
We'll talk about game 2.
Listen, game 1 and game 3, they came out, the speed, the skill, they played their game, they kept their cool, they did what they had to do. Game 2 was totally different. Tampa came out, Tampa was throwing the body, Toronto couldn't control their emotions, they tried to play that style, they couldn't, and they got it handed to them. And I can only imagine what they said in the locker room, because they came out game 3, were flying, and they looked real good. Now, Vasilevsky, game 1 and game 3, did not look sharp, and he's going to be the key to this series. Depending on how he plays is going to determine who wins. And hopefully he plays more like he did in 1 and 3.
No kidding. Let me say hey to everybody. Steve, welcome in. Alyssa and your duck, welcome in. Bernie, welcome in. Let's see. Ian's in. Morgan's in. Jen's in. DDM, welcome in, everybody. If we didn't call out your name, Dallas Hockey Girl, welcome in. Penelope Pitstop. I love that name. What a great name. So welcome in, everybody. If we didn't catch you, we'll catch you as you're coming through. So Crystal, hockey season. We haven't seen you in a couple weeks. You were busy. Can I make the announcement what you just finished?
What did I just finish?
Cool.
Oh my gosh.
Just making sure.
You know, I'm almost finished. That's
almost finished. Because I saw last day on your Instagram, and I was like, I was super happy for you, because I knew you were trying to get things wrapped up, and you know,
you can announce it anyway, but yeah.
Yeah. So basically, hang on one second. So Crystal just about finished up school. So she is going to join us in the real world of craziness and uncertainty and have a lot of fun. So congratulations to you. I know you worked really, really hard going in those last 6 to 8 weeks. You've been buckling down. You know, her passion for wanting to be here, we had said to her all along, school comes first. You got to do what you got to do. There's always time to talk hockey. There will always be a place for her right here with Even Strength. So anytime that she has time to come in, I will put her Rangers knowledge and her hockey knowledge against almost anybody. So we are happy to have you back on Even Strength. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm finishing up. I have 2 more finals to go, which I should be working on. So yeah, we're almost at the finish line. Graduation's in about 2 weeks. So I'm really excited. I'm just excited to be done. It just not have it hanging over my head. So yeah, thank you guys. And Dave, Sam, you both do amazing jobs on your stream. So
well, we appreciate it. You know, we do, and we know that, you know, you keep jumping in and you're doing your thing, and you've got amazing Ranger vlogs, and it's been a lot of fun. Like watching you as a content creator, you know, from the outside in, it's always fun to see what you come up with next. But I always love your hockey takes on things, and your passion is just there. So tell us anything else that you got going on you want to share hockey wise, or anything for that matter, but you know, you take it away to anything that you got going.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of trying to live life, graduating. We're going to have a lot of travel adventures this summer. For that, hopefully, if the Rangers make the next round or whatever, we'll see where that brings us. If I can get a reasonable, you know, New York ticket prices are insane.
They're nuts.
So
what do you think happened tonight?
What did I think about tonight?
Yeah, what do you think about tonight?
Well, I wish I was talking to you guys on better circumstances, but I honestly didn't think that they were going to come back from that 3-4-1 lead down. So
yeah,
so good in that way, but in other ways, I mean, Shesterkin. So I just feel like it's very, very much back and forth, and this series is going to stress me out so much.
All right, so I got two avid hockey fans in here. I got to ask the question. Every other series, they're mixing it up. There's fights, there's this or that. We have supposedly the number one fighter in the league, who it's like his mitts are glued to his hands. I can't figure this out. Where is this guy? Why is he not throwing it down? Why is he like at the end of the first when we were just getting our heads handed to us?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that what a fighter's supposed to do? Is supposed to change the momentum? Sam, am I wrong?
Yeah, but maybe you didn't see the email coming around. He's a goal scorer now. He's saving his hands.
I didn't know. So when I started calling him pillow hands, I just assumed that maybe he was afraid his manicure was going to get messed up. I'm not sure, but Crystal, you can't tell me that when we signed Ryan Reeves in the offseason, you weren't going, cool, we're going to get some really good fights. We're going to see some entertainment. You were at the game. He didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. I know. We were actually just talking about this, how, especially at the end of game 2 with the Carter and Shesterkin incident, I know Carter obviously went off the ice, but this game, I thought like they would kind of come out, flying, which I wish they did. I mean, I understand the circumstances. It might have been an accidental run in, but still, just to send a message, that you don't do that.
See, she's a New Yorker. You hear what she just said? You got to send a message. What do you do? Look at the guy. You send a message. You got to do it. And that's the thing is, I don't know where this guy is. I don't understand. I don't believe for a second Gallant had him in Vegas. I don't believe for 1 second that Gallant is holding the reins and saying, no, don't do it. I can't figure out why he's not engaging. He has some of the shortest shifts I've ever seen. He goes out, he skates end to end and goes off. It's like he's just not a part of the team. I don't understand it at all. Maybe I'm wrong. But then you got Trouba, who all season was throwing hits and I kept calling it the Trouba train. I'm waiting to see one of those. And tell me this, why is Kreider not parked in front of the net? This guy scored 52 goals all year. We can't get him to stay in front of the net.
Mm-hmm.
These playoffs are exposing a lot of things.
Yeah.
And, when I look at my team specifically, we have just a few shekels tied up with Nylander and Tavares, and they've yet to show up. I mean, I'm surprised they were even on the ice. I think they're still waiting for the bus somewhere. But, they need to wake up because that's half of our salary cap funds with those two guys. Yeah. But even in Nashville, you look someone like Forsberg, who lit it up, doesn't have a single point. Now we know, they're against Colorado. I don't expect them to get a ton of points. But you think Forsberg would have had a few points. And even a guy like Matthews back on Toronto, same thing. He lived on the power play, top of the circle in that OV spot. He would set up those one-timers. Kid had 60 goals. All series, he's been floating around there, but not getting in that spot. He's not getting those same shots. So I think teams have learned a lot of how these players play. And some guys they're not living up to expectations. And Pillow Hands is a prime example of that.
And you got to love it, though, because our chat right now has hashtag save Pillow Hands and hashtag retire Pillow Hands. I legitimately, I was saying to Dallas Hockey Girl yesterday, I have a t-shirt press out in my garage. I'm going to have to make a shirt that says Pillow Hands, and it's going to have him with like two little like mittens on his hand or something. Like I'm going to have to do it. And it's really going to be funny, but I don't know. I've been watching this and I just can't figure it out because you're not wrong. There's a lot going on with these players that made a living all season. But I mean, we swept the floor with the Penguins all season. They didn't see anything new. I don't understand why Kreider's not parked there. Savannah Jad should be parked down at the lower part of the OV spot, so to speak. That sounds bad. We should probably not call it the OV spot. And I don't understand why it's like we went to the playoffs and we changed what we're doing. Crystal, when you're watching, are you seeing any, like, I know you're not just watching Ranger games, you're keeping up on what's going on. Are you seeing anything that would indicate that there's going to be huge upsets, or what do you think is going to happen? Not just in the Rangers, obviously, but any upsets that you think are going to happen, or where do you think is going to go? Who do you think is going to pull us out?
I honestly have my eyes on the Carolina-Boston series. I think that's like super interesting right now. It's super physical, and obviously the winner of the Rangers Penguins are going to play either team. So I don't know. I'm kind of looking at that. I think that Boston, I can never count Boston out because
I
they
hate them.
are. I hate them too, but they are just. They always just somehow like squeak out those wins here and there. So you never know what happens with them. But even though
So
Carolina is amazing, and I thought they could go all the way, but Boston's such a tough team.
who do you think's going to win the cup? Because Sam and I have been doing this for like 2 weeks. Who do you think is, if obviously I don't expect you not to say the Rangers, but if it wasn't the Rangers, who do you think it is?
Yeah, I mean, I would love the Rangers to win the cup. I'm gonna go with Florida Panthers this year. I think that they built a great team, and I would like to see them win. So I'm gonna go with Florida.
Jesse, thank you. I hope you feel better, sweetie. Yeah, and what's up, John? How are you? I think they've got a good shot. I'm seeing a lot of things and the reason you guys keep seeing me look up is I'm watching the Calgary Dallas game right now as we're sitting here and we're chatting. And I'll tell you what, I didn't think this would be as good. They just bulldozed the goaltender and it went in, and they're not calling goaltender interference. Let me ask you guys a question because I think it raises a great question about goaltender interference. Does it exist in the
Oh,
playoffs?
hands down. And there's been a lot of goalies getting bumped, getting run. And as soon as you stand up for them, you're getting a call. So it's almost like you can't even, stand up to protect your own goalie. There is a lot of shenanigans happening in front of the net on both teams. We've seen cameras pick up guys getting, the stick to the groin, the spears, all that stuff is happening. No calls. We've seen guys run, they don't try and get out of the way. They're throwing elbows. They're leaving their hand out to knock the goalie in the head. We've had a bunch of goalies go down with injuries. It's really getting kind of ugly. And if I'm a goalie, I'm screaming murder to try and get some attention to this, to get some protection from the officials.
So, stupid question, but you're a guy who's got a marshmallow suit on. You're the goaltender. You've got the biggest, heaviest stick on the ice. Remember Ron Hextall just whacking people in the back of the legs? You don't even go off when you get a 2-minute penalty. I would be literally laying people out if I was a goaltender. If you came in that crease, I would clear it. I mean, I hate to be the old guy on this channel, but Jeff Bukaboom made a living just clearing the crease. I mean, he was like a snowplow. You do that nowadays, and I don't understand why you're not allowed to clear the crease. I don't understand what defensemen are waiting for. I watched it tonight. I'm sitting here watching right now. There's absolute contact with the goaltender, and I was going to say Antemi Panarin. It's Antti Ranta he got punched in the head. He's bleeding from the mouth. Nothing happens. 2-minute penalty. He didn't even get a double minor. There's blood coming out of the guy's mouth. Any other player gets blood drawn out of their mouth. What happens? Double minor. Yeah, I don't get it. When you saw Shesterkin go down and you saw him just laying there, you have to admit, Crystal, you were like, "Oh no, our season's over."
I was literally screaming in front of the TV. I was like, "No!" I was like, "No!" And then when you watch the replay, it's kind of funny because he's like, "Oh, my head," and then he's like, "Oh no, my back." But so it was fine. But still,
he took acting. He took acting lessons from Henry.
It was like, "Oh my God, this is not good."
Well, I think that he's expecting the Rangers to be the Rangers, and that is, you hit the goaltender, it's go time. And they all kind of were like, "Oh, let's dance." And, I mean, don't get me wrong. The best actor of all time is Henrik Lundqvist. I mean, that guy you could skate by him and the wind knocked him over and it made it look like he went flying through the boards. He was fantastic at it. What I was concerned about is when Shesterkin was laying on his back, it looked like he was holding his groin. Mm-hmm. And I was like, with all the groin issues that he has, I was like, "Are you kidding me? They hit the leg." Now it's a little, it just seems like a little much. I don't understand why they're not calling more of this interference. The fourth goal that the Rangers obviously scored, Disney Baker, welcome in. When I don't know what you saw, I don't know what both of you saw, but the last time I heard the rule, if you push the offensive player into the goaltender, it's not interference. It's goal. You can clearly see that that's what happened. And listening to Don Kowarski, I was like, really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it's the officials are just getting worse and worse as game by game goes on. It's actually nauseating how bad it is. We were sitting there in game 2, and you could have literally called 100 penalties in that game, and they would they'd let it all go. They'd let it all go. And then all of a sudden they would call a nothing call that in a preseason game wouldn't have been a penalty. And they're calling it now, and it makes no sense. I think the players are confused. They're frustrated. They can't play their game because they don't know what's a call and what's not. So they wait, half the game to figure out what they're calling, and then the refs switch it on them. I compare it to a really bad, home plate umpire calling balls and strikes. There's no consistency, and it has a big chance to ruin the game.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, I'm literally watching this right now, and I'm sitting here watching this game right now, and I just finished, 2.5 hours calling the Ranger game. Correct me if I'm wrong, Crystal. We went until the third period until they finally called a penalty.
Yep.
And then they called 3 back-to-backs. Back in the 90s, they used to do this where they would call a really bad penalty and then they would call a makeup penalty. And it almost felt like that's what was going on again tonight. And it's like, there's no consistency. What are you seeing when you're watching? How frustrating is it, from your standpoint to see this?
Yeah, I mean, playoff hockey, like they let a lot go, but especially in the Ranger game an hour ago or whatever, they Pittsburgh should have got the delay of game penalty in the third period, and it's frustrating because, like Sam said, stuff like that can cost us a series. The awful call in game 1 that probably is going to cost us a series, and it sucks because it's not how it should be. But
no, totally.
I have to run, but thank you guys so much for having me.
Crystal, it is always a pleasure having you here.
Thank you. This was fun. It's fun when I could come on. I try as hard as I can. But
I know you do. You're super busy, and as your schedule permits, you're a co-host on this show. You are welcome every single time we come on. And anytime I'm calling a Ranger game and you want to come on, you can come on.
Definitely.
So anytime that you have time, come on and join us. And as always, it is a pleasure. Please, everybody, show her a lot of support. She is a fantastic content creator. Get over to the Crystal Palace. She is all over YouTube. She's been on all different kinds of shows. She goes and does everything with everybody. She is a collaborator's collaborator. So everybody give her a round of applause. Crystal Palace, everybody, thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you again real soon. And obviously we'll see you in the Rangers chat on Monday.
Definitely.
Thanks, Crystal.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.
So let me just leave this one comment and leave it here. The only bad makeup call that should ever happen is on RuPaul's show. And that's it. So why don't we go through, because it's been an interesting week of games. And let's go through series by series and talk about these and look at how the
oh, geez, we're going to go back to this. All right. So we just brought RuPaul into hockey. Oh, God.
I couldn't resist.
All right. So series by series, you say.
So let's start, because we made our predictions and we went by that website that had all the percentages.
Yeah.
So they've been updating that along. So let's start with the Hurricanes and the Bruins. This is one I thought the Bruins were going to come out. And I have to say, I'm very wrong. I've been so impressed by Carolina.
Yeah.
I know Boston took it this last game, but Carolina has looked so good with all the goalie controversy and everything going on there. They're still favored to win this series 75 to 25%, which is pretty amazing.
That is amazing. the problem I've had is I've been watching so much hockey. It is literally like it's almost coming out of me. What's up, Cloud9 Getaway? Chris is in the house. I've been watching so much hockey, and like it's hard to catch every single game because some of them are on at the same times. The Carolina Boston series. First of all, let's make sure it's absolutely stated. I hate Boston with a passion. Okay, almost as much as I hate Sidney Crosby. So this is an amazing series. I've enjoyed watching everything. The physicality has been fantastic. I still think Boston is one of the cheapest teams out there. I still think that they play a very dirty game. I've never liked the way that they play. This has been no exception. So I think this is going 7 all day long. Do you think we're going to see it short of 7? Because I think it's going all the way.
Initially, I thought the Bruins were going to take it in kind of 5 or 6. I think you're right. We're probably going to see 6 or 7 games. I still think Carolina is going to come out on top. They've just looked so good. They put up 2 5 spots against Boston, and Boston is, I mean, they're just starting to get going. But man, it's going to be such a good series. I think Carolina has enough to take it.
I think Carolina does take it. Coaster Mom, hello. Cobra, hello. I think Carolina's going to take it. And there's a lot of biasm in it, right? Because I hate Boston. And as far as I'm concerned, they could be up 2 or 3-0 in the series. I would still be calling it for Carolina. But based on what I'm seeing, and if I actually take my biasm out, I would still say that Carolina has what it takes to go the distance. And I think they're going to. So good series so far, though.
Yep, for sure. Looking at the Pittsburgh Rangers, I know we talked a little bit about there. Rangers still favored 61% to 39% to take it over the Penguins. That surprise triple overtime game, unbelievable. When it goes that deep, anything's going to happen. So that was a tough one to swallow. They look good in game 2, not all with it, surprised by Pittsburgh, I think, tonight. I still think the Rangers are going to come out and do it, but Pittsburgh has a little bit more fight than I know I initially gave them credit for.
I don't disagree with that. I will say this. I might be a little biased on this series. I'm not sure if you can tell. But look, I've been waiting all week to have a platform to sit here and say, what a crap ass call on that no goal. That was, any other team, any other way. And let's just say this. If the call is reversed, meaning Pittsburgh goes into Shesterkin, that's a goal. Okay. I don't care what anybody says. They pulled it around. The rule specifically says if the player is pushed into, because they have to make every attempt to not hit the goaltender. Well, if you're pushed into the goaltender, like there's nothing you can do about it. And that is a goal. The Rangers won the first game. Yes, I'm a little bitter about it. We should have gone into it tonight 2-1. It would have changed the dynamic of the game. Not calling that last 2 minutes when they flipped the puck over. It should have been a delay game. The linesman is clearly looking down the boards. You see it in the replay. His head is like this, down the boards. He could see it. They're not doing the right thing in this series. Now, I'm not saying that the refs don't suck across the board because they do, but it seems to be the other way. And what is most shocking to me in the Ranger series, and the reason that this series is inverted where Pens are winning, the Rangers have no physicality. They're not mixing it up. There are 5 guys on that team that know how to drop the gloves. Not one of them's even thought about it. It's going to be the game difference. Like, this is a team that is extraordinarily cheap. They do a lot of really dirty things in those boards. The Rangers don't turn it around. I can tell you right now, I still think the Rangers beat them. But if they don't get it right and they go down 3-1 in this series on Monday, this is going to be interesting. So, and I love Cobra's answer to that. Shesterkin will be a champion this year, and also the Rangers. I love that. Thank you. But I don't know. But the Rangers do not have an answer for Getzel and Crosby. They don't have an answer for it, and I don't understand. Go put a spy on them and let them sit there and hang out. You got to do something.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure. Switching over to Toronto and Tampa, this has been an interesting series. The winner putting up a 5 spot in each of the games. Same thing, Toronto trying to play physical. Simmons takes a couple really just bizarro penalties. Tampa scores on both those power plays, which ultimately is the difference in the game. Tavares and Nylander haven't shown up. Toronto's getting superb play from their fourth line with Blackwell. Spezza was outstanding. Mikheyev has been flying around the ice, and of course Matthews and Marner just being Matthews and Marner. Bunting came back, gave them a little spark as well. But they have the Vasilevsky issue, and I know Bernie mentioned it earlier in the chat. Vasilevsky 15-0 coming off of a loss, so it'll be very interesting to see what happens tomorrow. If Toronto can pull it out, steal both games in Tampa, going up 3-1, gives them a couple of shots to take the series. But it's all going to talk about or happen to be what Vasilevsky shows up. And if Toronto can keep their cool, that's going to be the series.
So let me ask you a stupid question before we move to the next round, because obviously, look, you're calling Toronto, I'm calling Rangers. You're heavily watching what's going on. I couldn't agree with your assessment anymore if I tried. Do you think, you and I had gone a little conspiratorial. Hang on one second. Chris, Reeves is not the same Reeves anymore. I was hoping for the Reeves from St. Louis and from Vegas and from everywhere. I mean, this guy's just not even showing up. That's why I call him pillow hands. But the thing that you and I talked about at one point was how refs can sway a series. They could change the outcome. And some of it could have to do with, cap implications. The longer the series go on, the better it is for the league. The more money they make, the more money that's made, the more that goes into the cap. You think any of that's going on?
The way these games have gone, it wouldn't shock me at all. The officiating has been so bad. Now I get it. Kyle Clifford's hit in game 1, rightly so. It was a little bit of a blind side. There was a similar hit last year, and I forget who it was. But that guy also got suspended a game. So I could see, the suspension coming. A lot of the other penalties, Simmons is mixing it up. He's getting hacked, slashed, fought, punched. He turns around, gets called on the retaliation. In past years, they would have tossed both guys, send them both to the box, play some 4-on-4, be done with it. But this is just, it's getting out of hand. When one team gets 7 power plays and the other team gets 3, it's a little skewed. I think penalties definitely killed Toronto. They essentially played an entire period shorthanded.
Yeah,
in that game, in game 2.
See, but that's what I'm talking about is like your assessment of your series is spot on, but they could easily, like, let's be perfectly honest. You have a 2-time champion. You guys are, record setting. People are watching your games in record numbers. Why would they want this series to go down in 5 when they can stretch it out to 7? My fear is that you're going to see in game 4 a totally lopsided event simply because they wanted to go back and forth after this. Because once you get through the first 2 and 2s, then you go back and forth between home and away. I'm just worried about it because I'm watching it and I have a different opinion. You guys have all been really nice on the Kyle Clifford hit. Let me say this: 10 years ago, it's not even a penalty.
I would agree.
Okay? So, it's hockey. Did he hit him from the blind side? Sure. Okay, great. But he wasn't squared off to the boards. He was standing perpendicular. He hit him shoulder to shoulder. Now, the fact that one guy's a lot bigger than the other and he turned him into a pancake, that's just simply has to do with size. Did he have the puck? No. Should he have gotten 2 or a double minor for roughing? Yeah. Okay, fine. I'll give you that one. Fine him $7,500. Okay, great. But 7-minute penalty, match misconduct, and a game? Come on. There's no call for that. Yeah. He hit the guy. It's not like he hit him in the head. He didn't. He skated by. He threw a check. That's what happened. I can't get behind it.
Yeah, and this happening in the same game, in the same series, where you have Pat Maroon and Corey Perry, who are literally forgetting about the play and going and completely mugging players and getting
After the
away
puck
with
is
it.
gone.
It's ridiculous. So we'll see tomorrow night. We'll see what happens. It's our Mother's Day spectacular. That's what I'm calling it. 7:00. Leafs and Bolts. We'll see what happens. If it's ugly like this and the refs are just atrocious, maybe there is some cause for concern of some kind of upper league protocol to, stall this series to make it go as long as they can. But it's been exciting, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I mean, and Bernie, like the only thing that I'm saying is he's not, like a traditional boarding call, like what was boarding a decade ago. You got a guy who's in the corner and his head's kind of lowered, and you come in, you cross-check him, and he goes face first into the boards. There's no place for that. Did he hit him a little late? Yeah, okay, great. Did it deserve a 7-minute penalty, a game misconduct, and an additional game? No, it doesn't go there. You want to give him a double minor. You want to throw a 5-minute major at him and not kick him out of the game? Fine. You want to give him a maximum fine for the hit? Okay, great. This and the other side of it is, if you're going to call that as a major penalty and a game misconduct and a suspension, half the people in the league should be out, because there's been way worse hits than some of that.
Yeah.
Plus, look at what they're doing to the goaltenders. There's not even been a penalty. Not even a penalty. What happened to Ranta is, I mean, it's disgusting. Like, everyone's like, oh, well, he hit his leg. Well, how does his mouth start bleeding? You got punched in the face. Like, no penalty, 2 minutes. Like, and when I say no penalty, 2-minute penalty for that's a joke. I'm wondering how much the refs are swaying the game to draw out the to draw out the series. You're not even seeing anything that's close to a sweep, and you and I were talking about things that could have been.
Yeah, for sure. And Toronto, they did the right thing in game 3. They skated away. They kept their cool. They were tough when they had to be tough, but for the most part, they used their speed and skill, and that's going to win them the series. They are still favored to win, 74% to 26%, but let's see what happens tomorrow night. Flipping over Washington and Florida. So this is one that I think was originally favored Florida like almost 80% to win. This is one I thought Florida was going to kind of not sweep, but I thought they were going to, hand it to Washington pretty earlier on. I'm pretty surprised. Washington kind of taking a 2-1 lead in the series and calling that game this afternoon. Man, Washington looks really good. Really good.
Do you remember I called that as my upset?
You did. And Washington defensively, they were collapsing in their own zone. They were playing a perfect defensive game. They controlled the play in that game for, I would say, 95% of it. Florida jumped out to an early goal, and then Washington took over. Florida could barely get in Washington's end. It was unreal.
There was a point when you and I were talking about this before the trade deadline, and the Caps were in 5th place. And I sat there and I said, this is one of those things where the Capitals are not only going to come back, but they're going to make a run. They were just starting to push, and they started to play Caps hockey. And I don't know. There's always something about that team where you sit there and go, you better watch out. You better not pout. Here comes OV. It's just nuts. And I don't know. I just had a bad feeling about it. I call it the President's Trophy curse. Everybody does. They won President's Trophy. They won everything. And there's a lot of times their first round knockout. And the Caps are the team. They did not want to play them first round. And I'm calling 3-1 as of the next game. I think that Capitals got the momentum. I watched the game today. I was listening to you, and it's going to be something else. I think the Caps are the contenders. That nobody, like when you were calling Preds, I was calling Caps.
Yep, and it's super, super interesting. Ovi's line today, he had a goal and an assist and like 7 hits or something like that. So he's doing it all. He's a beast.
Look, Ovi is the everyone always says, oh, you got Ovi and Sidney Crosby. Don't ever put him in the same class. Ovi will hit you, take a hit from you, pass, shoot. He doesn't care. That's why he's captain of that team. He is amazing.
Yeah.
Then you look at Sidney Weiner, and like he'll come up and spear you, and if you touch him, they'll call a penalty. I just can't get there. I mean, he did a beautiful pass between his legs tonight. He tried it twice. The first one went nowhere. Second one was on the tape for a goal. But at the same, by the way, I think it was an empty netter. But at the end of the day, they're two totally different players. They both may be good or even great players. OV, in my opinion, is a much higher class caliber player.
Yeah. And it's pretty much even now. Panthers still have a slight advantage, 54% to 46%. But I think that's skewed. I think Capitals should probably be ahead, seeing the way they played today.
I don't disagree.
Yeah. Jumping over to the West. Well, we'll start at the bottom. Colorado Predators. No surprise here. Well, a little bit. I didn't think it would be 3 straight, and I didn't think Colorado would put up 2 7 spots against Nashville. But Nashville, they have their goalie issues now. They have their Forsberg issue because he's in the lost and found, waiting to be found. They just haven't showed up. They had one good game. The rest, it almost looks like they shouldn't even be in the league.
And if you remember when we went back to it, I sat there and I said, as good as the Preds were playing, I said it was going to depend upon their goaltending.
Yeah.
They've got all kinds of problems now. And I think this one, I'd said to you, the potential was, it's like the potential of a sweep. I think I said that at the time. It's hit and miss. Chat sitting there saying Preds got hosted, or Bernie said Preds got host today on a goalie interference call when it was 3-3. And that's what I'm talking about, though. Like this goaltender interference, either not getting called or, it's just with the amount of, it's not a position where you have tremendous depth. I mean, your guy who's sitting in AHL is there for a reason. He's not NHL ready, or if he is, he's barely, and this is the playoffs. Stop letting the goaltenders get hit. Start to protect them a little bit. And then you got Cloud9, Chris saying 7 goals a night's not sustainable, though. It is if their goaltending sucks. If you got a guy in there, and let me tell you something, the Penguins have been really fortunate in one sense. This kid Deming is amazing. He came in with a belly full of pork fried rice, came in and they've made a hero out of him. He's been amazing. So 7 goals works if you're asleep, especially when you're down 3-0 in the series. I don't know. I think they're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, I think so too. Preds are done, and so do the stats. They say 98% to 2% for the Preds. And we just have to give a very special shout out to Kyle McCarr. He is the new Magic Man. I'm giving him Datsuk's nickname as the Magician. The things he is doing with this puck and some of the goals he is scoring is out of this world. This kid is fierce.
Yeah, no doubt. And as Bernie put, he's got 100 wins in the NHL, which is Deming being the person who's got 100 wins. Yeah, and it's like they showed everybody eating spicy pork and broccoli. I was really hoping the whole team would get sick. But, look, that's a big thing to take Datsuk's name and give it away. The kid's got a lot of talent, and I think this series they're going to be playing PlayStation in 3 days.
Yeah. Going over the Minnesota Wild and the St. Louis Blues. So this is one I kind of called Minnesota as the noisemaker in the West to go up and get through. They're the odds-on favorite now, 77% to 23%. After the first game, I was shaking a little bit. St. Louis putting the shutout up, but the last two, 6-2 and 5-1, Minnesota's awoken, and they're looking good now.
The first game looked like a fluke. So, Cobra, to answer your question, I have 3 different channels. This is one of them. So you can subscribe to all 3 and come hang out with us. We do different things on different channels, but it's a pleasure having you in. So if you want to hit the subscribe, please go ahead and do so. We love having you guys in. It almost looked like they weren't in game 1. Yeah. When I went back, because I didn't watch the game live, I went back and watched it, and I was like, wow, they're deep trouble. Bernie just put in Blues are done, 3D out tomorrow, Krug out as well. you don't have a defense, you got a problem. I mean, you're talking about 6 defensemen, and 4 of them are out, or 3 and Krug. I mean, it's going to be something else to see exactly how this whole thing shakes out. I still think Minnesota is in it to win it. I think they're gonna, as you and I talked about. I'm a big Minnesota fan, so Minnesota.
Yep. So moving up to the Oilers and the Kings. Oilers now 78% favorites to win. Little bit of a bizarre series. They're up 2-1. Kings took the first game 4-3, was close. Then Edmonton 6-0 and 8-2. They said enough of this, LA, go away already. And interesting scenario before game 3 is, so the Kings practiced in their own practice facility. Edmonton shows up in the venue ready for practice. The venue won't turn on the lights, and they wouldn't give the Oilers the nets. So you hear a lot about these stories from year to year as the venue is trying to make it hard for the visiting team. Turn on the lights and give them the nets and let them practice. Like, the ice crew was literally holding the nets at the side of the ice.
What? And you're right. You hear about them every year, and you kind of sit there and go, "Well, wait a second. Why? What do you think it's going to accomplish?" Right? Like, are you going to get in their heads like, "Oh no, the ice crew wouldn't let us have it"? I don't know. I heard about it. I laughed. I sat there and I'm like, the first picture I had in my head was the movie Miracle, when Herb Brooks made him stay on the ice. And I'm like, this is kind of that in reverse. And it's like, okay, so what do you think you're going to accomplish? You're going to stop them for an hour or two? So what? I thought the whole thing was childish and hilarious at the same time. I love hockey antics. It would have been better if they went on the ice and like the ice was covered in chicken. Something. I don't know. Like, that would have been funny. Covered in squids. But
yeah, listen, Edmonton has years and years of first round draft picks pent up waiting to explode, and they're finally getting that call, and they're looking good in these first couple or I guess I should say game 2 and game 3 anyways. But even in game 1 they look good. But yeah, I still think Edmonton's going to take that one.
LA's time is LA's had these weird bubbles, if you will. This isn't one of them.
No.
They're not doing it this year. They were no. I don't, again, 2014 left me bitter. So I'm an LA hater. So
yeah. And the last series, Calgary Dallas, this one has surprised me. I thought this was going to be a sweep. Calgary was going to hand it to Dallas. They're now barely favored, 55% to 45%. Both, this is the only series that's a real series with low scoring games. We got a 1-0, a 2-0, and where they tied at ones right now. So this is a crazy series.
I got to be honest. I've watched, this is the second game I'm watching. They're entertaining as can be. These are hockey games. They're hitting, they're scrumming, they're fighting. They're, I love what I'm watching. I mean, it's been entertaining. I've been wondering if these aren't, I may call the next time that they do it in 2 nights. I may do Rangers and then go back to back with Calgary and do Stars. It's that entertaining to me. They are really, really, they're good games. They're not these blowouts. It's not bad, sloppy passing. It's passing, hitting. I mean, they're a lot of fun to watch. I'm really interested to see what happened as to what's what. I'm really interested in this series a lot.
Yeah.
Who do you think is going to take the West?
Oh man, I still think it's probably going to end up being Colorado. Probably Colorado and Edmonton for that Western spot. And what a series that's going to be. Just seeing how powerful it is. And I know it's kind of skewed because Nashville isn't, where they should be right now. Minnesota, Colorado Avalanche, that's going to be one heck of a series, especially if Luongo is on his game. There's a chance they could steal it. I just think Colorado is going to be too good. But listen, Kaprizov leading the way there, man, Minnesota looks good. I wouldn't count them out. It'll be real interesting. Same, Oilers Flames in the second round. That's going to be a heck of a series too. I'd almost let the playoffs end after round 2 because we're not going to be able to top some of these series we're going to see.
They're going to be a lot of fun. I mean, right now I'm watching how these things are mixing up, and I agree with you. The hockey that's being played right now is amazing, with the exception of the Avalanche game. That's kind of gone. And it's not the Predators' fault. You have a goaltending. Just a gigantic hole, and what are you going to do? You're playing one of the best teams in the league, and you don't have a goalie.
Yeah, this is what makes it. Sorry to cut you off, but
no, you're good.
This is what makes this time of year so much fun. We were talking about it during the Panther stream today. Somebody brought it up about who do you think is going to win, or who do you think is going to move on, or how do you bet on hockey because it's so all over the place. You never know in a 7-game series. You cannot predict what's going to happen. A goalie getting hurt, a defenseman getting hurt, a superstar getting hot. So many things can change that can impact a series, and it is absolutely outstanding. And that's what makes playoff pools so much fun, because you could pick, all the top guys and still not win a pool because your top line doesn't get going, but it's your third and fourth line that's driving a lot of the offense, which we've seen happen. Heck, remember Carolina winning the Stanley Cup? It was Bates Battaglia. Who? That's right. I said Bates Battaglia.
Right.
Who led the way. What do you have, like 4 overtime goals in that playoff run? So you never know who the superstar is that's going to wake up and drive a team to the finals and ultimately win.
Good night, Charlie. Look, I couldn't agree with you more. I've always sat there and said, you just don't. What do I keep saying? Depends on what team shows up. Also depends on that team what players show up. What I think I have watched in my series, nobody's shown up. Like, even though we won game 2 and we won it kind of handedly, I'm watching, even though he's had great points and this and that, Panarin's been quiet for a while.
Yeah.
Zivanejad, not been a lot of much of anything. What we keep talking about is how well Shesterkin's played. We've talked about some of the kid line and this and that. For you have one of my all-time favorite, wish I still had him, Rangers, and Colin Blackwell. That kid is something else, and I'm not surprised to see him lighten it up. I wish we kept him. So, it's those Jesper Fasts of the league. They do it quietly. They do it every day. They go out. Their plus minus is high. They make things happen while they're on the ice.
Yeah.
And I don't know, man. I would never, I would never count out a team, even when we're talking about the Predators Avalanche, 2-0 Calgary or 2-1 Calgary right now.
Yeah, Calgary just scored.
Would it take an epic turn of events for, Avalanche would have to fall apart right now to even make this a run? You could still see a 5-game series. Like, it could still happen.
Sure.
One loss. Would it surprise me? No. Teams get a little soft. They're like, oh, we're up by 3, and they come out and they get just freaking handed to them. Happens. Is it likely? No. But, other than that, every other team seems to be making a series out of it. And again, when you don't know the rules or you don't call it, and we're talking about the refs, not the players, they don't seem to know the rules at all. So it's anyone's game. As you said, a key injury and things change very quickly. What happens if all of a sudden my top line decides, hey, we're going to show up from now on? You could start seeing, goal a game.
Yep.
Makes a difference.
It's really, really interesting. We talked about kind of that bizarre incident in LA. 2 other bizarre incidents taking place in Boston for game 3. I'm not sure if you saw these. Upon a Boston goal, the fans banging on the glass, piece of the glass fell in, takes out the timekeeper. He gets stretchered off the ice. So hope he's doing all right, but a crazy incident there. Also, early, at another point in the game, the ice crew, they bring the big kind of garbage cans on wheels and they shovel all the snow in. They're wheeling it off the ice and they wheel it right into one of the linesmen, taking out the linesman, that goes down. He was kind of shaken up and didn't look overly impressed by it. But two real bizarre scenarios in the same game.
And we're not even talking about the on ice talent. And we're sitting here saying that something stupid can happen like that and change a series. These are things that are happened off ice, and they're peculiar. When I saw that poor gentleman get hit with that glass, I mean, let me tell you something. That guy got whacked. I felt really bad for him. You see that there's no warning, there's no anything. It just comes down, and it clobbered him. And I mean, he's in a neck collar and all this other stuff, and he's going off the ice. And I mean, it was bad. I felt really bad for him. And then you look at when they're skating off and they hit him with the trash can. I was like, you didn't see him? Like, how does that happen? Like, I don't know.
That's one of my favorite official clips of all time now.
Would have been great if he fell in the garbage can, though. Right?
That's the only thing that would have made it better if he just went up over.
And then you just hear like a Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. Like, I would have been like, okay.
You talk about conspiracy theories. Do you think that glass was meant for a player? You think it was intentionally loosened by arena staff? You never know.
You know, it's funny because it's an interior glass piece of all things, right? So I don't know. I live next to Disney World. Rides break down every day. And I sit there and I go, weren't you guys closed for 4.5 months? Couldn't we get this right? Like, I don't know. I just don't get it. So when I look at this, I sit here and I kind of just laugh about the whole thing. I'm not happy about the fact that the timekeeper, if it had come from the other direction, it would have been something else where, you know, if it was where the player was, I probably would have sat there and said, you know what, you got something. But typically the timekeeper stands there, sits there anyway. So I don't know. I feel bad for the guy, you know, I mean,
for sure. Here's one I found online. This is kind of cool. I'm going to hold it up. I meant to send this to you before and I completely forgot. So I don't know if it's going to come up. Someone did a retro logo playoff bracket. Let's see if we can get that up.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's pretty wild. Look at you got the North Stars, Minnesota, the Quebec Nordiques, the Minnesota North Stars, the Atlanta Flames.
I love that.
Hartford Whalers. This is pretty stellar. So
I love that.
Whoever did this and put this together online, props to you, because that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, hands down, great job. And by the way, I'm watching this. I want to see what happens when they come back from commercial break. That was one of the cheapest hits I've seen in a while. Minnesota's trying to break. You know, he's going in, both skates turned. He's trying to slow down, and he's getting pushed and gets hit and clipped, and his knee comes up and his other knee goes out and he goes into the boards. He went in really awkwardly. I'm hoping he's okay. I don't know if that was during the play or not, because I took my eyes off of it for a few minutes, but you know, this is the kind of stuff I would have expected. If you see someone go into the boards like that, there should be 5 guys fighting. Like, I don't know what's going on in this league.
Yeah, it's crazy. And you make a point falling awkwardly into the boards. I've seen that a lot this year of guys who kind of, they go down weird. And I know way back when they used to do a lot of training about how to properly take a hit into the boards, how to go into the boards and prepare for all situations, and how to look around. And the older generation, they had to be, because of that, there was more of a respect. They didn't have to worry about getting plowed from directly behind into the boards, but guys were a lot more vicious. Guys would come, you know, flying hits and all this. So you had to know how to take it. And it just seems with a lot of people today, they're not prepared for everything that could happen when you go into the corner. And it's showing.
This is what I said about Clifford, though.
Yeah.
You know, 10 years ago, half of these things that are going on don't happen because, like you said, when, you know, look, I get I'm an old guy, right? And I get the fact that when I played, you know, it was a different time, it was a different everything. I don't know in what era, you know, hockey generation you played, but when we went to camps and everything, and you did your, you know, like your morning camps and everything, one of the things they taught you was about going into the corners, and when you were digging out, how not to have your head, so that if you got hit, you didn't get hurt. and preparing for the check and knowing that it was coming and what to do and so on and so forth. And it's like, because the rule change is that these guys are made of glass, like I just think that everything is designed to make these guys more susceptible, and then we don't call it, and then they don't fight about it, and it gets worse, and then it gets out of hand because there is no line drawn. Like, part of what I'm watching on this game as I'm watching it is they're not calling things that should be penalties. Okay, if you're going to enforce the rules, enforce the rules. If you're not going to enforce the rules, make it simple. Take the rule book, throw it away, light it on fire, and let them go at it. In this series, like, I'm watching the highlights, and you might be too, they've already shown a couple of different fights and this and that and big hits. But I mean, if you're literally at the blue paint and you get hit so hard that you fly into the boards, someone should be answering for that.
Yep. And Bernie, that's a good point, right? A lot of younger D think they're protected by the rule book, and they don't go in. Do you remember? I think it was a Canada Cup way back when. I don't remember the team Canada was playing, but Messier absolutely smoked somebody, and he was probably sent him, 6 feet from where Messier hit him into the boards, and he just wasn't prepared. Now, when Messier hits you, you're going to feel it, but he sent this poor kid flying into the boards, and that was one of the only times I'd seen a hit like that. You're seeing that more and more today because guys, they have their head down. They're not on a swivel. Don't have their hands up. Their sticks ready to take the impact, and they're just getting hurt. Do you remember? Was it Kevin Stevens several years ago took a hit?
I know,
and it actually knocked him cold, and he fell face first. And
Yep,
he was a mess. But if you're not prepared, and he was a great player, right? He knew what he was doing, and it just wasn't ready for that one moment in time, and also a little bit of a fluke that he got knocked cold. But it can be really dangerous if you lose your bearings or not ready for what could come your way.
I have to agree with you about one major thing that you just said. It's this head down thing bothers me. Okay, and the other part of the rule, because I know there's a rule. I think it's stupid. If your arms are down, okay, and you're totem pulling and you're coming up to hit the guy, you don't leave your skates, your hands are down, stick is down, and you come in, and I'm 6'3" and you're 5'11", and you're leaning in to skate, and my initial point of contact is your shoulder, neck, head. Sorry, it's not a penalty. Right? The fact that you got knocked out because you're stupid isn't my fault. It goes back to the most basic movie in the world, Mystery Alaska. His head was down, coach. Head was down. Okay. Tree specifically sits there and says, hey, I didn't mean to do it. His head was down. The rule is you try not to hit a guy with his head down. But if you're literally like this skating around on the ice, it's your fault.
Yeah.
They teach you head up. Okay. When you're doing these things and these hits that are 3 feet from the board because they don't want a boarding call, that's why you're starting to see these guys fly through the air like Superman. And it's stupid because call the cross check, because that's what it takes to get somebody to fly that far. It's very rarely are you seeing shoulder to shoulder that far a distance, because if you did, the crowd would go nuts.
Yeah.
What you're seeing is arms extended. And when you see those arms extend, I'm sorry, it's cross-checking. And they're not calling it. So
I think we need to have a little cross-check ticker on our streams. And every time there's a cross-check, put it up, and you'll be in the hundreds.
I can't count that high.
It is
not only can I not count that high, I can't hit the button that fast. So I don't know. I mean, if you want, I'll sit in the back end on yours and I'll just click it.
It is absolutely insane. These guys, now we get it. Pads are much better, but they must have just lines of bruises across their upper and lower backs from guys just doing this like a jackhammer the whole time they're standing in front of the net.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, you're standing in front of the net and you get 4 or 5. Then what do? You turn around with your stick and you double axe handle, whack them across the back of the legs, and people are wondering what's up. Versus, let's go back 10, 15 years ago. you get in front of the net, you take a cross check across the back, guy turns around, whacks him in the shins, he sticks you, you stick him, gloves go off, and you're fighting. Okay? That's what hockey was. It was, ref's not going to call it, we're going at it, let's go. Now it carries over. Now all of a sudden you see a cheap shot that you can take 5-6 shifts later, you're still carrying that grudge. Now you go into the boards and you take that shot. That's how players get hurt. You guys have a problem at that moment, settle it. That's what hockey was. And it's not that way anymore, and it's sad. Fighting should not only be encouraged in the game, but it should be taught. And, it's funny because I go back to Youngblood. What does he say to him? You can't go play hockey till I teach you one thing. And he goes, what's that? And he's like, how to fight. If you can't fight, you shouldn't be on the ice. Now, I'm not saying that every player should be, but you should have 2 to 3 people on that ice at any time that can drop the gloves. Just saying.
Yeah. And this is what worries me going into game 3 or game 4 tomorrow for Toronto. You have Perry, you have Maroon, you have who is the other guy? Killorn. These guys were all vicious. They've been taken no prisoner. And now that they're kind of down, and this is a must-win game for Tampa. If Tampa doesn't win this game, the series, whether it's going to be in 5, 6, or 7, the game's going to be over. But they're going to come out. They're going to hit everything that moves. They're going to be sticking. There was a great shot that I think it was the in-cam net picked it up. Tavares in front of the net, and the Tampa Bay defender, I didn't catch the name, actually sticks him in the groin straight up, and Tavares goes down, looks at the ref, and the ref's, doesn't see it. And I get it. It happens so fast. It's not where the puck is, so they miss it. But like that stuff is getting worse and worse, and nobody's going to drop the gloves now. So it's going to be a vicious.
That goes back to what you and I talked about before. If you're going to play this, and forgive me because we're on the sports channel, this pansy candy ass way of playing hockey, you got to put a ref in the box.
Yep.
They got to be over the top. They have to be able to call something like this because these refs are out of position almost every time. What's going on behind the play never happened. Now it always happens. It's a part of the play is behind the play.
Yeah.
Well, which is it? If they got the puck or they don't have the puck, when can you hit them? When can't you hit them? I don't know what the rules are, and I've been following hockey for 40 years, and I still don't know what the freaking rules are. Not only do they change so often, it's not even funny, but the refs seem to change the rules at will. And I think it gets to a place where at some point you either got to put a 5th ref in the box and call everything, or let them go.
Yeah,
let them go.
You know what kills me more than anything? We talked about the cross checks and that happens, but it's this. It's holding. You take one hand off, you grab the jersey, you're going to get a holding. Plain as day. This is the call. This is what drove me nuts in game 2 because Toronto, the defense was coming in. Granted, they made a great play. They took the hand off the stick. They wrapped around the shoulder. They grabbed the jersey. Legit penalty. They get called. Tampa Bay is grabbing Toronto, not just doing this, but then slew footing, kicking their feet out, taking them down, or holding with one arm, taking the other arm, wrapping it around their arm,
underneath,
driving them down, and not a single one got called. And I was losing my mind. I don't understand. That's the one call.
Andre Miller tonight went into the boards. I don't know who did it because I couldn't see it fast enough. They took the camera off as quick as they could. He's coming down in the near boards. He goes into the corner. As he's getting hit, you can clearly see the Penguin's hand underneath his knee, pulling his leg up. Look, it ain't a slew foot. That's a body slam.
Yeah.
But this whole thing as to you can't let it build. These pressure cookers that they're creating are going to make a disaster in this. Players are going to get more hurt now than anything else if they're not careful.
Yeah. Bernie, you have me
fantastic.
pegged bang on.
I love how Maple Leafs are like Mother Teresa, Maple Leafs are like the devil. And that's the thing though, is what I said to you before is I'm worried your game 4 is going to go even. And the reason being is you guys are dominating to a degree. Now, game 2, you guys looked really bad coming out. They were dominating. They came out. I expect the same thing in game 4.
Yeah.
Hopefully you guys are prepared for it. But if you get a bad reffing situation, you get guys who are just all over you, and this gets out of control. First of all, you could get someone that's hurt. I think it's going to go to 2-2 just because it's good for hockey. It's not good for you, but it's good for hockey. And just what I'm watching, and I'm literally sitting here watching this game going, this is borderline a bloodbath. What I'm watching right now are two teams that are killing each other. And players are going down. He just got literally, I just looked up. It's a cross check and his face went face first into the boards. And I'm sorry, but that's a penalty if you're not calling that. And there's the goal.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're not going to call now, by the way, you call the cross check, guess what doesn't happen? You don't have 2-2, and that's the thing is there's too much of this.
And the Calgary goalie's having some words with the official, so I don't know if they're going to challenge this or what, but
if you're the Stars, if they go back behind the net and they show this from the other end, which they're not going to, but if they did, you would see literally it's a dirty hit. And he goes face first into it. And what is he bitching about?
Yeah, there's nothing looked like a clean goal unless the earlier shot hit the mesh and not the top of the boards, and they didn't call that. We've seen that a lot where the puck does kind of just hit the mesh, but in the ref sight line, they don't see it, so they don't blow it dead.
These guys couldn't find never mind.
I'm just glad Dallas isn't winning their neon green jerseys, so I can actually watch the game and not torture my eyes.
Yeah, and I don't know what they're complaining about because I don't have sound on, so I'm kind of just looking to see. But if you go down to where this play started, which was behind the other net, he cross-checks him face first into where the glass meets the boards, and it's a cross-check. You end the play right there. None of this happens. This is the point of the fact that they're not seeing, not calling, they're not doing the right thing. But now, if you're that player, what are you thinking on your next shift? I got cross-checked face first into the boards, no call. They went down and scored. I'm going to return the favor, except I'm going to do it from 3 feet away from the boards to make sure you get hurt.
Yeah.
This is why this is bad. Now, you see this and you're the enforcer on the ice, you should skate over at that point, which, by the way, also stops the goal, and kick his ass.
Yep. There's one story I completely forgot to mention and bring up, and I just read about it before we come on.
Yeah.
It's expected to be announced Tuesday that Patrick Marlow is going to officially retire.
Really?
Yeah, apparently he's done. They booked a press conference for Tuesday, and it's expected he's going to make that announcement.
Tell me you saw that.
I didn't. I gotta kind of
look at this. They're going. They're trying to go. This is what I'm talking about. Watch this on the replay. You and I just need to sit around and call games all night.
I would agree.
Watch this. This is why this is a no call. This is why this whole thing starts.
Yeah.
You're sitting here talking, and I'm flipping out right now, going, "What in the world is going on?"
That's the exact holding call.
This is what I'm talking about. Exactly what you were saying. Watch this. It's nuts. No, don't put that on.
Unbelievable.
So watch this in the corner. You're absolutely gonna laugh because we're sitting here having this conversation while watch this. Here it goes.
Yeah, I just saw it on mine. I think mine's a little ahead of yours.
But so they're sitting here wrestling on the ground. So here it is. He grabs him, pulls him, smash dab. This is why people are getting hurt.
I didn't hear the announcer say, "Ladies and gentlemen, this bout is scheduled for one fall."
Right? And then they get up and they're hitting each other, and he's yelling at the ref, and the ref won't call it. I mean,
do they have a quota? Do they only have to hit so many calls per game, so they have to space it out?
I don't know. I didn't realize they were cops.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Man, I'll tell you what. Like, I'm literally sitting here, and the best part is now. By the way, they did what you said. They both went off for two, but I'm just like the two of them is. It is unbelievable. It's a wrestling match, not hockey. I mean, but
Can you
we're in the
imagine?
middle of having this conversation, and I'm watching it live.
Can you imagine if it was like soccer and they had to go and give cards? You got a yellow card for a warning, and then a penalty.
They should literally go over and mark their helmet. Like you got a little strike. Here's a sticker.
Players, they're like basketball. They're allowed so many strikes before they're tossed out of the game.
I mean, I'm literally baffled by this because if you take your eye off the game, okay, and you watch where the refs are, and you're watching the far ref. Okay, so the near ref right now is in that near corner boards right there. He's trying not to get killed. So he's in the wrong position right off the bat. So that means your far ref should be the one that should be able to see everything. The problem is he's at 150 feet trying to look over guys twice his size. What were you going to say?
They're coming down. The Calgary player kind of takes a little elbow at the Dallas guy. And just because the camera's panned so far back, you see the entire stadium go, what?
Yeah.
Oh, that's unbelievable. Now, listen, we know the fans are always against the refs with the ref you suck chant and all kinds of other chants that the fans give towards the officials. And half of it is fun to listen to it. But man, it's really getting out of control. It really is.
Well, if you're gonna let guys make this kind of money, and you got to protect them at some point, and every play is ending. Look at us. Every play is ending with a grouping of guys getting together.
Yep.
When you're at that point where the blood is boiling, you got to do something, and it's either let them fight, let them go, or start calling penalties. Because if they don't do something here, you're going to get players that are going to get hurt. You got a $10 million player that gets written into the boards. What did we used to say about Gretzky? He was untouchable. Like, the only time you ever see him laying on the ice, everybody fought for the rest of the game. Like, I think they fought every time they were on the ice there on after. You don't touch the man. It was understood. And I don't know. I mean, it's just it just isn't what it used to be. And that's the problem is there's no clear cut. It's, are we getting rid of fighting? Are we not getting rid of fighting? What are we doing? And it's just not good. These refs are atrocious. The only thing that I can think of that stops this is by putting a fifth guy in the box.
Yeah. And what bothers me most about it, forget about the series, forget about if Toronto wins, they don't win. I don't care. What really bothers me is it's all the kids that are watching this. Because now it's the trickle-down effect. So they're sitting there saying, well, everyone's telling me it's not okay to do these things, and I shouldn't do these things, but the NHL players are doing it, and it's okay. So I guess it's okay for me to do it. And now all throughout, all the minor hockey, then it trickles down, eventually gets to, regular house league, and the injuries are going up because these kids have no idea what they're doing. And that's what worries me the most is we're setting a really bad expectation here for everybody that's watching it.
You're totally right. And let me say this, because it's not just the kids. All right. What else do you have at that level? You have volunteer coaching.
Yep.
These are people who have no idea what they're doing. They just have a passion for the game. They want to help kids, blah, blah, blah. That doesn't mean that they actually know what to do. How do I know that? I used to coach kids hockey. All right. Now, am I passionate? Yes. Do I know the game? Yes. Did I play the game? Yes. But I did an inline league. And there's a very famous player that we just talked about who was laying on the ice. And I got to meet his kid. And one of the things that his father and I had a conversation about was Gretzky always used to take his right side of his jersey and do what? He would tuck it over the top of his pads. So much that the freaking stupid league said, what? Oh, you're going to have your jersey all the way down. Who cares? So what did kids start doing? Started pulling their jerseys up. Well, Trevor was the same way. He used to pull it up. And what you're seeing is kids imitating. He's imitating his dad. Okay. Other kids are imitating Trevor Gretzky. They're all sitting here going, okay, well, if he does it and so does this and this is how this gets out of hand. This is how this stupidity happens. And then you get coaches who are watching and going, well, that they're saying that you can't do this in the NHL and blah. No, the rules are the rules. Enforce them or don't. But at the end of it, this is going to be something really, really interesting to see what happens this week. This week in hockey is going to be it's going to be really. I think next Saturday when you and I are sitting here talking, this is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, I agree. I'm looking forward to this week. I'm looking forward to chatting next weekend. It's going to be crazy. We knew it was going to be fun with this first week of playoffs. I think, it's both gone in a way that neither of us really expected it to. Some series closer than we thought, but the scores being as large as they are, that I never would have expected or predicted. So it's going to be crazy. And, I expect some series to wrap up over this week. We'll have to see who are going to be the winners, who are going to be the golfers, and who's going to be watching RuPaul.
CJ, Islanders are golfing. So, what I would say to you is I agree, which plays into my conspiracy, right? Rangers haven't been able to put points up. We've had all kinds of issues with different teams that haven't been scoring. All of a sudden, you're starting to see 5, 6, 7s. It's good for national television. It's good for, the way things are going. Really? Like, it's supposed to be lower scoring games because these teams are supposed to be better, not really, really high scoring games. You're supposed to be talking about some of the best D, some of the best goalies, some of the best scorers. You should be seeing 2s and 3s on the boards, not 7 to, or what was Calgary or Edmonton was 8-1, 8-2.
Like that, yeah.
8 goals. Like I don't know. I can't figure it out. Shesterkin let in 4 goals for the first time since March. Are you going to have a bad night? Sure. Did I watch this? Turn around. Here you go again. There's a cross check. Nothing. So players are sitting here. This is what I'm talking about. They've got to get a handle on this because if not, it will get out of control. It will get worse. And next week, you and I are going to be talking. And it's going to be, you got goaltenders going out. You got, which 10 years ago, goaltenders didn't go out.
Yeah.
They got pulled. They didn't go out. So I don't know. I don't get it. It can't be a conditioning thing. I guess it can be, but I'm saying it can't be. I don't get it. But so what's your thoughts on the week?
So week's going to be good. It's going to be exciting. I know for us, we got lots of Leaf games coming up. I'm super excited to call tomorrow's game. I hope it's not the bloodbath we're expecting it to be. And I hope it is a skillful game. And that's just going to set up the Leafs for a couple shots to win the series this week. If it doesn't go that way and it's 2-2, we're still going to, go through it. Trying to find some other games to call as well, but just trying to look at scheduling and, early, late, all that fun stuff. So we did our first non-Leaf game today with the Caps Florida Panthers, which was awesome. So definitely more of that to come, and hopefully start doing some games together. It would be great. Pick a game and you and I sit down and do it. I know
I would love to.
It would be a lot of fun to do some collaboration.
We need to do this game. We should literally just sit here and do like a Calgary Dallas game. This is one of the most entertaining games. I just want to scream at the television and I don't care who wins. And I'm still sitting here just screaming at the TV. It's like, and if we weren't live right now, I probably would have dropped about 19 F-bombs in the last 5 minutes because I'm literally watching this going, how are you not calling this? So, these are just fun. And let's just say this, anything you want to do, I'm in.
All right.
Hockey, I'm in. Just call me. And it's a lot of fun this week. Sam's going to be calling, obviously, Toronto games. Make sure if you've hit subscribe on his channel. If you haven't, why not? But get over there. Make sure the notification bell is hit. So this way, as he posts the thumbnails, you know that it's there. Go hit the reminders. Those reminders, everybody, will let you know we're going on and where and what we're doing. So that'll be a lot of fun. Sam does a lot of things, but right now it's all hockey for him. So if you're interested in watching hockey, get over, support Sam. Just like Crystal, support Sam. Before I say anything about me, let me bring this up real quick and support my partner channel. Get over for every other game that Sam and I are not calling. Get over and support Pete. Pete is an amazing, amazing content creator. He's doing CFL, basketball, baseball, moonball. If there's anything else that he can call, he's calling it. Pete is a one-man show. He also does amazing Disney content creation. The Hall of Fame for the Disney class is coming up, so make sure you get over there. Also, if you're looking for Disney fun, that guy looks familiar. I think he looks like me. That's me, Jen, and Bella. We go into the parks a bunch. Go over and check us out over on Florida Park Explorers. That was actually for Cobra. Cobra, we have a bunch of channels. If you like to see Disney stuff, we also do that as well. Coming up this week, obviously, I'll be calling every Ranger game, so be paying attention for thumbnails coming up starting tomorrow. And I think what I'm going to do moving forward, everybody, is I think I'm going to be streaming it on the network so that this way the members can play with their emojis. I may stream it on both, but I will definitely have something up on sports that tells you to come over to the network. I think that with it being playoffs, having those emojis, letting you guys play and really taunt each other is a lot of fun. I love when you guys get interactive, and as long as you guys keep it clean, we can have as much fun as you want. As you guys saw tonight, CJ and I going at it. That would have been a blast. If we were in person, we would have dropped the pillows and went at it. It would have been funny. But other than that, guys, this has been an amazing first week in playoffs. I mean, I couldn't be happier if I tried. Well, Rangers could be winning 3-0, but who's going to complain? So before we get out of here, I just want to play something for the folks who are curious about what I was talking about with memberships and this and that. If you go over to Florida Park Explorers, we have members program available. I'm going to run a quick 15-second thing real quick, everybody. We'll be right back in a second. Do you want to join our membership program? Do you want to be part of the members only club? Get direct access to exclusive member perks. Join the party. Starting only at $1.99. Get special emojis and other great things. But you got to join today. So that applies to all the other channels. Doesn't apply to this one. We're not over 1,000 yet. So go on over there, play over there. That's where we're going to have all kinds of fun. You can also join over at Florida Park Explorers as well. But other than that, everybody, I think Sam and I are going to leave it. Well, let's leave it on the ice. Here they go again. This is every 5 seconds. I like as soon as we get off, I'm literally going to sit here and watch this game. This game is entertaining as all can be. But I want to go ahead and thank the mods. You guys, in the last couple of days, we've had to battle bots again. We've had to battle all kinds of things. Thank you guys literally for everything that you do. I saw it in Sam's chat. I saw it in mine. Everything that you guys are doing, you're keeping us safe. We really, really appreciate you guys. Totally. We really do. But thank you to Bernie and Cobra over in Russia. Thanks for tuning in and supporting on both shows tonight. John, thanks for being here. Bernie, Cobra, we appreciate you. Steve, I know is in the background. Wheeler, I know you're out there. Chris from Cloud9 Getaway. Let's see. What did I say? Steve's out there. There's a bunch of folks. Y'all are just kind of hanging in back right now, and that is all good. We appreciate you guys for watching, doing what you do, and thank you for supporting great content creators like Crystal, Sam, and myself. With that, everybody, for Sam, the natural Toronto Maple Leafs fan, I am Dave, the BearShark. Until next week, everybody, go Leafs go. Let's go Rangers. And with that, if I can in my closing, I will get us out of here at some point, I promise. I can't find it, so you know what we're going to do? We're just going to play this one instead. Have a good night, everybody.
5:49.